Hey guys, and welcome back to Castle Crush, and today we are going to be playing with one of my favorite decks of all time. This is the same deck that I've used in a number of the tournaments to try and win them, and this deck here, it's basically a Black Knight deck that also has Fire Elemental, and today it also has Metamorph in it. It's a great deck, and it's a lot of fun to play with. So today we are going to be using this deck again here and seeing how it still holds up pretty well. It does have a couple of cards that I think it didn't otherwise have, but it relies on a lot of pretty powerful cards like the Black Knight and, again, the Black Witch, which is one of the best defensive cards in Castle Crush. So as we see here in this match, the Fire Elementals are very, very good for working against things like the Phoenix or a ranged card, or the Necromancer in particular. The Fire Elemental is very helpful against that Necromancer because otherwise I don't really have any cards to get rid of it. So Fire Elemental is really a card that I have to play extremely well with this deck because it's extremely dependent on making the right Fire Elemental plays. And you can see here, once I get the Black Knight out, it does a huge amount of work against my opponent and the lane they were pushing in. Especially multiple Black Knights, it's very hard to stop. One of my favorite combos, I mean, it works really well with the Spike Statue too. Black Knight in front of a Spike Statue at their castle is very hard to stop. And the Spike Statue also has good synergy with the Shaman because the Shaman can sort of sit behind it. So I just love the synergy of the cards in this deck, and I also have an Ice Elemental in here, which is extremely annoying as well for my opponent. And this was a good match. My opponent was playing pretty reasonably well, but as the match continued to progress, sometimes I struggle with the dragons once they start to get dragons out. But in this match, I just shot right over the dragons with my Fire Elementals. I waited until the correct moment, I think, to play them, and went right for their castle and just said, forget the dragon. And it ended up paying off. So the Metamorph is definitely a very fun card to put in a deck like this as well. I'm really enjoying the Metamorph recently in all kinds of decks because, again, right here, able to get the Storm Elemental Metamorphed, which instantly gave me an advantage considering I had no real early game cards otherwise in my hand, and then able to get rid of their Metamorph. I mean, they're a Storm Elemental with a Black Witch, and at this point they have an advantage, but I'm still feeling reasonably good just because I have the Fire Elementals. So even that mage like behind the Ice Elemental, that's something that the Fire Elementals can definitely handle. So trying to be patient here and look for the Shaman or the Varlkyrie. And I see that they have a Necromancer there. Again, this is where the Fire Elementals come in so handy here against Necromancer decks in particular, because I don't really have any other counter in this deck other than Black Witch to the Necromancer. So sometimes they're really helpful. You can see they got rid of the Black Witch, and I make the decision to try and get rid of the Necromancer, and they swap lanes. So then they gust of wind again, and I still kind of made a bad play there. Wasn't able to fully get rid of it, but I got another Fire Elemental, and that time I was able to destroy the Necromancer, and that was really a game-changing moment right there, being able to take out that Necromancer. Really game-changing moment, and from there on out, I was able to turn the tide of this match, despite the fact that I'd been taking damage earlier in the match, and from this point forward, it really felt like I had much better control of this match. And they tried to start a new stack. I got rid of their Storm Elemental with a low mana trade with a Spike Statue, and they were trying to start that stack again, but again, the Fire Elemental to the rescue over to the Necromancer. So great match there. In this match, I mean, the Dryad has been a tough card for me in the past to play against, but I was able to just go straight in for the Black Knight, and at that point I knew I instantly had an advantage. That was kind of an unlucky Metamorph. I would have preferred like any of those cards except the except the Ballista, and whatever, didn't really end up mattering. And The Black Knight got me some positioning, but unfortunately the skeletons were just so well timed. I kind of misplayed the shaman in the end, so that kind of gave them a chance to reset and get back in the match. Because I had great positioning with the Black Knight to get rid of the siege ballista, but it didn't quite end up happening. So this is a deck that typically I think would have been very difficult for me to play against, especially with these archer tribes and skeletons, considering I have a metamorph in the deck. But the ice elemental was very helpful, and the Valkyries are very helpful at clearing some of that spam. And then by this point, I had total control. That stack they tried to start there in the bottom lane was just way too weak for the cards I was playing at this point, and that was pretty much game over. They didn't really get a whole lot of high mana stuff out there, was the interesting thing. This deck was kind of just a little too soft once I was able to actually get through the archer tribes and not get overwhelmed by them. Fantastic. And we got promoted to Grandmaster League again. It's been a while since I was league grinding, but it's fantastic to get back to that a little bit and hopefully play some more consistent matches. Although it's hard with the lack of game updates to really feel super motivated, but just in terms of getting a really good flow of videos on the channel, I want to definitely keep Castle Crush Incorporated for a while, and especially just since I invested into getting all of the cards. It's nice to get to use them in some videos, you know what I mean? I like being able to get the full value out of bothering to get all the cards in the game. This is just such a good start here for this match, and I had to be, you know, kind of thoughtful there to go for those skeletons with the fire elemental rather than just going for the castle. But I really wanted to try and disrupt what my opponent was doing and not allow them to get anything going. And you can see I really shut down what they were trying to do. And at this point, the match was already basically over, and I just had to really shut down what they were trying to do. And that's a fantastic example of where this deck shines if the cards are played right. And the metamorph, I feel like, just helps. Like right here, getting the double shaman. And they made a good play here to get rid of one of the shamans. However, I just decided I am going to do as much damage to the cards they're playing as possible. They made another nice play right here, though. This match, I mean, this person, they recovered well from my early moves and didn't seem too unfazed, but, you know, as you can see, I have the fire elemental and it's set up well. This time, unlike some other matches, I did a good job of focusing on the angel before trying to attack the Hollow Knight. Made sure I got rid of the angel and the mage with the fire elemental, which was a solid play. They're doing a decent amount of damage to my castle, but I was patient and just didn't panic, and decided to use the Black Knights to break through the two main lanes that they were hitting me with. And now I got the Valkyrie out first to set things up, but then I used a Black Witch, but I had the fire elemental here in my back pocket. I probably didn't need to play the ice elemental. I guess it actually helped in the end, because I was able to set up to take out the Hollow Knight. And they suddenly have two Hollow Knights in that same lane, and I'm like, yes, I'm in good shape now. And now I have big time advantage, especially with the Black Knight available to play if I want to. I was kind of just being really patient, waiting to see what they were going to do, so that I could play the Black Knight in response to wherever it looked best. And at this point, they're pretty much done. You know, two very strong lanes I had set up there. That was pretty much the end of the match. But it was a good job by them. I mean, they fought pretty well in that match. I just managed to turn it around and get the momentum back in my direction. Right here, I don't think I needed to play that spike statue, but sometimes it can be good just in case they try and get like a Spectre out. It can be good to get down the skeletons as quickly as possible, because you never know exactly what strategy they have. Luckily, this deck is pretty good against skeletons, especially with ice elementals. Skeletons used to be kind of a problem, but now, especially having that ice elemental in the mix, it's like skeletons are not a big problem for this deck anymore. So yeah, I don't know why they played that quite the way they played it. You can see they were trying to do some sort of skeleton strategy with the Necromancer, but it was just kind of haphazard and all over the place. And I was able to just be more consistent in this match. It was a Spectre. They did have a Spectre. So it was good I got rid of the skeletons as soon as I could. And this match looked dangerous, especially with that Necro in the top lane, but I just decided to go for the instant counter. And at this point, I was in good shape because I had the Valkyrie up, and I was trying to wait to just see what they were going to play. If they played something against the Valkyrie, I was going to counter it with the Fire Elemental. I didn't want to use the Fire Elemental on my side of the map, obviously, so I've learned that the hard way. Basically, if you're using the Fire Elemental like on your side of the map, usually, unless you're trying to clear something that's behind a tank card, it's usually kind of a bad play. So it's much, much better to get that damage in on their castle and then be able to hit it. So I ended up using the Black Witch there just because I could see the Valkyrie was going to go down anyways. So I was like, let's get rid of the dragon, since that's a big problem sometimes for me. And we're starting to get to the point where they could have the advantage since there's enough mana. They could put down more dragons. But I have the Fire Elementals, and I know that they have not that much health left. So at this point, I'm honestly just like, I should win the match as long as I just hit their castle with Fire Elementals over and over. I should just win the match. Even if they play dragon, I don't think they can get back in it. And that was that. So pretty happy with that. So that is going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed seeing this Black Knight deck again here. It's not quite the same one I used for the tournaments. That one did have lightning in it, but I actually like this one almost better. I kind of found I didn't need the lightning because the Fire Elementals did a lot of the same thing. And if I couldn't get something, if they played something I would otherwise have lightning for, I could use either the Black Witch or Metamorph to get it on my side. So still ended up working out pretty well. So leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments and what other types of content I should create. Maybe subscribe if you're new to my channel. And thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more videos.